One of the quotes that describes the work of Robert Moog the best goes as follows. What artists need is an endless resource full of rough edges and dimly lit nook and crannies that one can explore as one see fit. And over the years, Moog has engineered and delivered numerous dream machines that deliver on that promise. And once again, the engineers at Moog have taken these words to heart and created a synth that embodies this idea and these values to a T and brings them to life in an inspiring instrument they have dubbed the Labyrinth. Closely following the release of the Spectravox, the Labyrinth is the latest member of the Moog semi-modular family and brings back the series' signature design while offering a unique set of features and capabilities, both hardwired and patchable, as well as its own signature sound. At its core is a voice architecture featuring a unique parallel processing path with 2 oscillators, powered by an inspiring dual generative polymetric sequencer. The Labyrinth is an incredibly powerful synth with a wildly large sound palette ranging from heavy kicks, destroyed basses, and raging leads to ethereal atmospheres, evocative soundscapes, and hand drum patterns. And on top of being its own world of sounds, it's also ready to integrate with other semi-modular synth and full-blown modular setups. Let's give it a spin. Now, as the name suggests, the Labyrinth architecture is full of twists and turns, and it is pretty easy to get a bit lost, especially at the beginning. But don't let that deter you, because if any synth ever taught me that the journey is the destination, it is the Labyrinth. And if I've been left scratching my head more than once at the early stages, the happy accidents and the eureka moments I've had with it were some of the most satisfying and rewarding ever. At the center of the Labyrinth workflow is the Generative dual sequencer, which we'll get back to in detail in a bit. In the meantime, we'll use a CV-enabled controller patched into the MIDI patch point to control the Labyrinth, and we'll start with the basic building blocks of the synth, the VCOs. The Labyrinth is equipped with 2 oscillators, 1 sine wave VCO, and a wide range triangle mod VCO that can be used both to modulate the VCO or as a second tone generator. The signal then goes through a saturating mixer complemented by a noise generator and a ring mod blend knob ideal to create FM sounding metallic tones. And both VCOs will start saturating once their respective level knob is dialed past 12 o'clock. The Labyrinth features two fixed envelopes with variable decay. EG1 is a percussive envelope with bipolar control, with negative modulation below 12 o'clock and positive modulation above, and EG2 is a traditional VCA envelope with variable decay. Next up in the signal flow are the Wavefolder and the voltage control filter, which run in parallel but can also be reorganized using the order switch to run in series. Let's start with the Wavefolder and what it does. To put it simply, when an audio signal reaches the headroom of a circuit, the top and bottom of the waveforms are clipped, which results in saturation. A Wavefolder takes the portion of the wave that goes beyond the tolerance of the circuit and folds it back on itself, creating new harmonics in the process and a different flavor of distortion. The fold knob controls the amount of folded signal injected in the mix, and the bias knob helps emphasize different harmonics in the tone. Another plus is that this Wavefolder uses a hybrid diode transistor architecture and new techniques that help eliminate audible breakpoints. Below the Wavefolder is the VCF. The Labyrinth features a great sounding two-pole state variable filter with resonance control that allows for crossfading between low pass and band pass modes. Now the really cool thing is the unique parallel architecture of the Wavefolder and the filter, which can be used in parallel and mixed using the blend knob, but can also be rearranged to be used in series. So you can send the filter signal into the Wavefolder or the opposite and use the blend knob to generate new harmonics and create different sonorities. Okay, so now let's take a good look at the centerpiece of the Labyrinth, which is its dual generative sequencer. The sequencer can be used to generate a wide array of sounds ranging from melodic and percussive patterns to out-of-this-world sound effects and noises, and can breathe life into these patterns by randomly altering them with the use of the corrupt knobs. Now you might wonder how random control voltage alterations can transform into musical results. Well, the Labyrinth uses a system of scale quantization with 15 scales to choose from to generate sequences that stay in a given tonal center. Next to the VCO, you'll notice a knob labeled Sec1 amount. This knob controls the range of the controlled voltages sent by the sequencer to the VCO, and the values will be random and atonal until the knob is turned all the way to the right to quantize, switching the control voltages to quantized scales. Now let's quickly go over the controls of the sequencer. Sequencer 1 and 2 are stacked on top of each other, and each step of a sequence or bit is represented by an LED that turns red when a bit is active and blinks to show the position of the playhead. The length button sets the length of each sequence, the reset button brings the playhead back at the beginning of the sequence, and the advance button moves the playhead forward one beat on each sequencer. Creating a sequence is simple. Move the playhead to a bit, press bit flip, and keep moving down the row until the desired steps are activated. The next thing I'll do is select a scale to work with. To access the different scales, simply hold the bit shift button and select the LED matching the scale chart included in the manual. I'm going to go with pentatonic. And now for the fun part. I'll start by running the sequencer, and you'll notice that Labyrinth is playing a one-note pattern that repeats itself. Now I'm going to increase the sequencer 1 CV range, and you'll start hearing the Labyrinth generate random controlled voltages that translate into notes in the pentatonic scale, but close to the root tone of the VCO. If I keep increasing the sequencer's range, the range of notes of my sequence will start getting wider all the way to 10 octaves, but as you can hear, the pattern is still repeating itself verbatim. This is where the generative part kicks in. Now if I turn the corrupt knob of sequencer 1 while keeping it under 12 o'clock, the Labyrinth will randomly change the voltage of the existing bits, altering the pitches and generating melodies. Above 12 o'clock, the corrupt knob will alter both the control voltage and randomly flip bits on and off to create spontaneous sequences. The general tempo of the sequence can be changed with the tempo knob, and the whole sequence can be transposed easily if you're using Labyrinth with a keyboard. Now, I've only used one sequencer to demonstrate the workflow, but the Labyrinth has a second sequencer that works exactly the same, and really cool things can happen when using both at once in combination with the envelope trigger mix knob. This knob blends the trigger levels of each sequencer and is a great way to add texture and accents to your sequences. And so what happens if you land on a pattern you really like but want to keep evolving it? No problem. The buffer button can be used both to store a sequence in the Labyrinth and recall it at the push of a button. And lastly, the sequencers can be changed to run a 16-beat sequence by pressing the change sec button. Now it's important not to forget the semi-modular form factor of Labyrinth and how it can be integrated into larger modular setups or used with other semi-modular Moog synth. Unfortunately, I don't have a full-fledged modular setup, but I do have the SpectraVox that I recently reviewed, and which is a perfect partner to the Labyrinth for this demo. One of the great things about the Labyrinth is that you can use one of its sequencer internally and the other to sequence another synth. So in this example, sequencer 1 is triggering the Labyrinth internal VCO, and sequencer 2 is sequencing the SpectraVox, resulting in a really sweet combination of sounds that evokes a sitar and a steel drum playing together. Check it out. The Labyrinth features a 32-point patch bay with 22 inputs and 12 outputs and is ready to rock with all sorts of modular gear. And with this, it's time to wrap up this quick overview of the Labyrinth. I hope this video gives you a good starting point with it, but rest assured that I've only taken you to the gate and that from here on, it's up to you to explore and get lost and ultimately find your way out of the maze of the Labyrinth circuitry. I personally found this synth truly hypnotizing and the range of possibilities mind-blowing, and found myself just listening to it generating sequences for long stretches of time before my hands decided to turn another knob and push another door. The Labyrinth will have you create sounds you didn't know existed, and I cannot recommend it enough to the sonic explorers, the music lovers, and those who walk both in the familiar frontiers of harmony but are also unafraid to venture in uncharted territories. Questions or thoughts about the Labyrinth? Let us know in the comments below. In the meantime, this was Gabe with B&H, and I'll see you next time.